I'm going to explain exactly how to calculate and track your net worth. This is all about taking action, and it's not as complicated as it may seem. We'll start with a simple sheet of paper and then graduate to using a spreadsheet. And I'm providing that spreadsheet to you for free so that you can track your own net worth more easily. So let's get into it. How do you calculate net worth? It's not rocket science, but if you've never done it before, I think it's helpful to see how it's done. To determine your net worth, you have to create a simple financial statement for yourself. This consists of two things: assets and liabilities. Assets are things you own that have a monetary value: cash, investments, house, etc. Liabilities are things that you owe money on that are taking away from your net worth: credit card debt, car loans, mortgages, etc. Let's start with the simplest and most old school method of calculating your net worth. Right now, grab a sheet of paper and make two columns. In the first column, write assets. In the second column, write liabilities. Now, under assets, you're going to start thinking of any and all places where you have assets to include in your net worth. Think mostly about financial assets, so bank accounts, investment accounts, etc. These are things that have a positive number and add positively to your net worth. You're going to need to log into each of these accounts and make a note of the current balances and write these down. So maybe you've got a checking account with X amount, a savings account with X amount. Then you have your 401k at work and you log in to check this balance. Write that here as well. And oh yeah, you have that taxable account at Robinhood with this balance. You've got this HSA over there with this balance. Write that here. Whatever you've got, log into every account and get that balance and write it down. If you own a home, write down the value of the home. You could use a current estimate such as Zillow, or do what I do, play it conservatively and just assume the home is worth the same amount as when you bought it. Either way, you're going to write down that home value in the assets column as well. Also, if you're married, I would suggest that you include any assets that belong to either you or your spouse or both of you jointly. When you're married, net worth means you and your spouse, not just you. Next, you're going to add up all the numbers in this assets column and get your total assets. Now let's turn our attention to the liabilities column. Maybe you've got a couple of credit cards with these balances, and of course, if you have a mortgage, you need to write down how much you owe on that. And oh yeah, the car loan and the student loan over there. So you're going to write down all these negative numbers over here in the liabilities column. Now add up this column and you get your total liabilities. Again, you'll include liabilities that belong to you or your spouse or both of you. Next, subtract your total liabilities from your total assets and voila, that is your net worth. Do you like what you see? Maybe the number is bigger or smaller than what you thought, but either way, I must congratulate you at this point because you've just taken a huge step toward getting your financial shit together. Cool, so now what? Well, now we improve that number. We make that net worth number go up by playing the game of life. Not the board game, but your real life. As you make money, spend money, or make any financial decision in your life, it's going to impact your net worth going forward. So now that we've covered how to calculate your net worth, let's shift our focus to tracking it over time. Because a net worth calculation shouldn't just be a one-time exercise. You want to be mindful of your net worth number on an ongoing basis. It's not like you need to look at it every day or even every week, but I think it's important to track it on a monthly basis, at least at first. Down the road, maybe you check it quarterly or something like that. When it comes to tracking net worth over time, this is where I would suggest using a spreadsheet. In fact, I built a net worth tracking spreadsheet that I've been using for over 6 years now. And I'm making this tracker available to you for free in Google Sheets or Excel format. You can find a link to it in the description for this video, so let's check it out and see how it can help you track your net worth over time. All right, here we are inside of my net worth tracker, and this is what it's going to look like when you download it from the links that I have below. You're definitely going to want to save a copy of the spreadsheet so that you can edit it and add in your own data as you see fit. Quick tour of what we see here. In the left-hand column, column A is the date. Next to it, we see 4 additional columns: cash, investments, home value, and other. And these are all shaded in green. And that's because these are assets. And these are things that add positively to your net worth. Next to those, the next 4 columns, credit card, car loan, student loan, and mortgage, are shaded in pink. And these are colored that way because these are liabilities, and these are things that take away, that decrease from your net worth. And the final 4 columns are debt, home equity, net worth, and growth. And all of these columns are shaded in gray. And these are columns that you don't actually need to do anything with. They are calculated cells, calculated columns that are going to automatically update as you fill in the date and all the green cells and all the pink cells. So let's put in some fake data here and see how this net worth tracker works. So going back to the date column, whether you track your net worth monthly, weekly, quarterly, whenever really that you feel like it, you can track your net worth and add a row in here. So I'm going to use today's date, which is the 11th of November. You can see even just putting the date, now these gray cells on the right have started to populate with some zero data. For cash, I'm just going to throw in some fake numbers here. And cash would be checking, savings account, that sort of thing. We're going to say that you've got $10,000 of cash. You've got $100,000 in investments. Home value, let's say you've got a house that's worth $500,000. And then other, I'm going to leave this blank, or I'm going to put 0 in there. But you could put, I don't know, you could put your car in the other column. I choose not to include my car in part of my net worth calculation for my assets because, well, I just don't think of it as an asset. It's kind of more like a tool that I use to go places, do things, but I don't think of it as an asset any more than I would think of my vacuum cleaner as an asset. It's not something, it's depreciating in value, and I just don't think of it as an asset, so I don't include it in my net worth. Your mileage may vary, no pun intended, and you might want to include it in the other column. Or maybe, I don't know, you have a baseball card collection that you want to put in there, an art collection, something like that. Whatever other asset you have, you could always put it in the other column. If you don't want to use the other column at all, you can always right-click here and just hide that column. All right, moving along, we have our liabilities. So we're going to start with credit cards. Let's say we've got $3,000 owed on our credit cards, 0 for a car loan, 0 for a student loan. But if you have either of these two things, go ahead and put that in there. You could also rename these columns if you have a different type of loan. And if you don't have these types of loans at all, you can either just put 0 like I did, or you could hide that column and not use that. And then moving along to mortgage. If you have a home, you may have a mortgage to go along with it. And so I'm going to assume, let's say, a $450,000 mortgage here. Now over on these gray shaded cells, you can see they've already calculated. So we've got our total level of debt, which is $453,000, and that's our credit card, car loan, student loan, mortgage all added up together. Basically our liabilities. And we've got our home equity, which is $50,000, and that's our home value minus the remaining amount on our mortgage. And then we have our net worth, which is $157,000 in this case. And next to that is a growth rate, which we're just going to start with 0%. And the purpose of this growth rate column is just to track how your net worth is increasing over time. It's just a fun thing to look at, assuming you're starting with 0% growth on the first time that you track your net worth. As you make additional entries into the net worth tracker, you're going to hopefully see that growth rate go up. The percentages will go up in value, and it's something that you can track over time and see how it's grown, how your net worth has grown over the months, years, decades. All right. The other thing I should point out here is this chart over here on the right, and it's not much to look at right now, but we've got 4 items that we're tracking on this chart: investments in blue, debt in red, home equity in yellow, and net worth in green. And if you squint and look real closely, you might see 4 dots here representing these 4 categories. As you add more entries into the net worth tracker, these lines are going to grow. And let's see what that would look like if we have another month of data in there. Let's imagine that on December 2nd, we add in another row, we track our net worth again, update all these values, and now the chart is really starting to build out. We've got some lines that look fairly straight, but there's a bit of a tilt to some of these. Debt is kind of trending down. Net worth is kind of trending up. Those are good things. As you fill out the net worth tracker more and more over time, these lines are going to get a lot more interesting to look at. Here's what it might look like after tracking your net worth for 12 months. And we have some more interesting lines here. We've got a squiggly debt line going on here. We've got a nice net worth line that's definitely increasing. And it's interesting to see how the financial decisions you make will impact your net worth and impact the look of this chart. All right, if you track your net worth for 10 years, here's what this chart might look like. We've got, first of all, this green line, the net worth, is now definitely looking exponential. It's got that exponential growth curve look to it. Same with the blue line, the investments definitely have a nice curve to it, which indicates exponential growth. Home equity, more of a straight line, which is to be expected. You know, it's more of a slow and steady paying off of that mortgage over time. And then the red line, debt, trending downward, which is nice. And that's because, again, you're paying off that mortgage. So it's pretty much going in the opposite direction of the home equity. You know, again, I've made up all these numbers in here. And I think in real life, the curves and the lines might not be so perfectly straight or so perfectly curved like this. They might look a little more interesting. You know, I've been using this net worth tracker for about 6 or 7 years, and I can tell you that my lines have definitely a lot more jagged look to them. They go up, they go down, especially the investments are, you know, is volatile over time. I don't track debt on mine just because my only debt is the mortgage. And so it's good enough for me to just kind of look at the home equity line and see that growing over time. I do think it's kind of interesting to see that line on there, especially if you have other loans that you're trying to pay off, like car loans, student loans. It's very satisfying to see that line go down and eventually go all the way down to zero someday. Again, this spreadsheet is available to you right now to download and use to track your own net worth. The link is right there in the video description. And I think you'll agree that a spreadsheet like this makes it much easier to calculate and especially to track your net worth over time. As time goes on and you make more financial progress, that graph is just going to look more and more impressive. And maybe the simple act of entering this information into the spreadsheet each month and watching the graph change and grow is extra motivation to do the things that will improve your net worth and avoid the things that will hurt it. You've probably heard the expression, what gets measured gets managed. Well, I think it's true, and it can be applied to our personal finances as much as anything else. Just having net worth in the back of your mind and knowing that you're going to look at that number every single month, well, that can influence the financial decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, and these decisions will help grow your net worth even faster. I know that when I look back at my net worth since I started tracking it monthly back in 2017, it's grown faster than I would have imagined, and it's just very satisfying to look back over the progress over the months and years. And it's one of the things that's kept me very motivated to continue to save aggressively, keep my expenses low, and invest the surplus over the years. All right, that's what I have for you in this part 2 of my 3-part series on net worth. If you've calculated your net worth before, let me know in the comments. I wonder how often you do it, and do you use a spreadsheet or maybe you use an app? Also, stay tuned to my channel for part 3 of this series. This will be the final installment where I will dive into the world of net worth tracking apps. These can make it even easier to track your net worth and gather your financial information from across all your accounts into one central place. I'll even give you a tour of my Empower account, Empower, which is formerly known as Personal Capital. And this is the financial aggregator that I've been using for more than 7 years now. If you got value out of this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos on saving, investing, and early retirement. Thanks for watching.